most helpful book ever published will teach everyone how nature creates people's personalities, including the Mix 281-84 rule associated with personality. What is the meaning of the Mix 281-84 rule? Well, fortunately, this is the natural occurring tendency observed by about 1/3 of people's personalities found to repeat and is profoundly noticed in the science of personality. It is a permanent, natural occurring, mixed trend tendency that shows up causing distinction in some people. While only observed, it will never vanish. This observed Mix 281-84 rule trend tendency, that anyone can observe for himself or herself, occurs most often enough to consider it a reliable trend. The most helpful book ever published will identify this concept for you in the mix status chart section, even explaining how to conduct a simple mix compatibility adjustment. You will read about giving you the advantage of understanding the mix status in some people's personalities who are identified as a mix, so you will be able to predict how a person is most likely to function in their life. So what does this Mix 281-84 rule trend tendency actually mean? In the first place, to be a mix you have to be born having two birth date ranges. You are a little of both these two birth date ranges because your particular birth date lacked enough exposure because too much influence was missed by being born too late or too early a birth in your actual birth date range, and all this is easily explained in better detail in the most helpful book ever published, showing an easy table to check your status in only minutes. You see, this mixed trend tendency happens because of the Mix 281-84 rule. You see, there are 365 days in the calendar year. If you add 281 plus 84, you will find this equals 365. 281 of those calendar days allow people's personality to have only one birth date range. The other 84 of those calendar days allow people's personality to have two birth date ranges to consider them a mix. For example, in all groups of people with similar mixed birth date ranges, it was consistently found that they all had two birth date ranges, providing them with additional features to their personality. This resulted in fulfilling their life in the most meaningful way, because being part of two birth date ranges made them what is known as organic and inorganic, instead of commonly having a dominance in one or the other. This means they desired living creatures like pets, people, wildlife, or anything living called organic, and they also equally desired the material world like objects, metals, or anything that does not live called inorganic. They really considered their mixed trend tendency to be fulfilling in many walks of life, all easily explained in the most helpful book ever published. From this very special tip, remember this, there is one observation that was found for sure: no matter whom you are, everyone must realize that the mixed trend tendency is observed by about 1/3 of people's personalities that repeats and is profoundly noticed in some people, making this a reality in life that nobody can escape. The most helpful book ever published will help everyone to recognize the mixed trend tendency lingering among people's personalities, and the easy method used to conduct a mix compatibility adjustment for this tendency if your personality is identified as being a mix. This will result in a better understanding of people. Yes, indeed, this rule does exist. However, if you observe everyone more closely, even through the generations, you will notice a reoccurring Mix 281-84 rule trend tendency pattern similar to everyone belonging to a certain personality group that never goes away, that is generated by nature among the different personalities and is very special to bring us all fulfillment in life. So how can this great work of literature help everyone to learn more about people's personalities? The core or body of this exciting material contains 8 chapters which describe and uncover the unique ways of how nature shapes us in a special way that improves your comprehension of understanding personalities to the point that you really can read people like a book, and in a way like never before. This means you will understand why people act and behave the way they do with their unique habits, all shaped by nature. You will learn about nature's personality factory that creates personality similar to how an auto factory creates cars. 10 years went into writing this informative material. The official copyright was established and recorded in the United States in the year 2022. This is a very rare original work that can't be found anywhere else. The most helpful book ever published sets an example with the goal and desire to present a great work of quality material in a newly discovered science from the publishing industry to help others gain better health, wealth, and knowledge for a terrific future. This is a rare work that can't be found anywhere else. If you have a hobby or are a professional book collector or are thinking about starting a book collection, you can add value to your collection by collecting this first signature edition offered here. You don't have to read the whole book ever because you will only be reading the sections which pertain to you, as this will be explained with very easy comprehension to see that you won't be reading with much labor at all with mostly short readings. You only read what you need. This rare work of literature was written with the following strict guidelines which were more difficult than any doctor program at any university. First, it must be a new scientific discovery that no mind has ever touched. Second, it must be non-fiction. Third, it must receive an official registration of copyright by the United States government. This book is certainly very informative, and you will learn fascinating concepts to understand people better. This means no more struggling in your life trying to guess what you are good at, who your best companion is, or what career you're cut out for. The entire book is designed for easy comprehension and is very simple. In fact, you won't be reading this material with much labor at all with mostly short readings. Add the most helpful book ever published to your collection now. The entire book is designed for easy comprehension and is very simple. In fact, you won't be reading this material with much labor at all with mostly short readings. Add the most helpful book ever published to your collection now. P.S. Thomas W. Anti searches on Google and Yahoo quickly finds you, the most helpful book ever published.